All right, we're now going live. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate you all that continue to rock with me, that continue to follow me. Make sure you subscribe to the new channel if you haven't done so at Dorsey's Resource 873. That's the new channel at Dorsey's Resource 873. The topic of this video I wanted to discuss is their agenda question mark. My thoughts, it's a lot to unpack. I didn't really plan on being before you all that long. Just kind of wanted to give an update as well. Those who once again who continue to still follow me, still rock with me, you are much appreciated. And I want to say we need to stay the course. And there's some new information coming to the forefront that I'm gathering. I've been doing a lot of studying, a lot of research behind the scenes. And in case you all don't know, there's a big meeting. I did a video last year. You all may not remember, where I reported on that this is like an annual meeting. It's one of the most powerful groups in the entire world, known as the World Economic Forum or the Davos Group. There's meetings that are set to begin tomorrow, January 15th, by the way, through the 19th. It's an annual meeting that takes place from this year. It's going to be January 15th through the 19th in Davos, Switzerland. This is a meeting, in case you all don't understand, that there's very powerful people. You all have heard me use that keyword. I may mention it later. That I've referred to many times before as the ruling class elite. Just to give you guys a background, it's similar. It's like the daylight version of the Bilderberg meeting, which they never intended to go public, by the way. It's a close connection, but more than 300 public figures will participate this year, including more than 60 heads of state and government. There will be strong representation from all key regions of the world, top political leaders taking part to include, the Xi Jinping, or Liang Quang. This is the premier of the People's Republic of China. I may have had, I'm not sure if that's Xi. Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, is supposed to be in attendance. Ursula von der Leyen, president of the European Commission. Javier Milei, president of Argentina. Han Duck-soo, prime minister of the Republic of Korea. Pedro Sanchez, prime minister of Spain, supposed to be in attendance. Viola Amherd, president of the Swiss Confederation, 2024 federal consular of defense, civil protection, and sports. It says Vladimir Zelensky, president of Ukraine. Alexander De Croo, prime minister, of Belgium. Gustavo Francisco Petro Irego, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing the names. This states that this is the president of Colombia, and this is just a name. There's a ton of people on the list, but I want my audience to know, to understand. You can go on the website. They have their agenda. Part of their agenda is saying that they plan on rebuilding trust. It says Davos 2024 is the 54th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum under the theme Rebuilding Trust. Very interesting. Now let's go back to the title of this video. I have their agenda question mark, and I'm putting in my thoughts. It's a lot to unpack. And I'm on, just to give you all a heads up, I'm on their website now, just going over brief sections. It said the title under the theme Rebuilding Trust, the meeting aims to restore collective agency and reinforce the fundamental principles of transparency and consistency and accountability among leaders. By the way, looks like they're checking back up to make sure that their leaders are in line. Actually, this is what they're not telling you. I'm just putting this part in, that this is ran by some of the most powerful people in the world. It says the program embodies a back to basic spirit of open and constructive dialogue between leaders of government, business, and civil society. The goal is to help connect the dots in an increasingly complex environment and provide foresight by introducing the latest advances in science, industry, and society. That's actually not. Let me translate that for you all. That isn't totally the case. See, they're making this seem like a bubblegum and flowers, milk and honey, that this is their agenda. But in actuality, this is also about behind the scenes. Is they have nefarious intentions. It's about controlling governments of around the world, implementing a UN treaty. By the way, a health treaty that was trying to will get rid of informed consent or people's right to choose. By the way, just medically, just completely annihilate that when it comes to the mainly to the what. I can't really say because with YouTube when that we had that thing that took place. You guys remember, pretty sure a couple few years ago that everything got locked down with. By the way, but yeah, they're saying their goal is they're trying to make this seem how can I put it seem trendy, hip, but in actuality there's another side to this agenda. And part of this what they're not telling you, the World Economic Forum has also deemed free speech. Klaus Schwab, the head of the World Economic Forum, as a threat to their global agenda. And YouTube, which is now owned by Google, their parent company Alphabet, has updated their policies. By the way, I have to probably get to that later. There was content creators you can look up have done a separate video where they're trying to up the stakes, where they're trying to move in ways to criminalize people discussing certain topics that they don't want or feel that they shouldn't. They stated that are future events of newsworthy, but related to events like pandemic stuff like that, they don't want you discussing anymore. You see how they're doing different things, but they still allow things that are like level of rated R, rated X, with a lot of videos, as I pointed out in the past, with different things YouTube has allowed has been hypocritical. But when people have come with G-rated or PG-13 content, if they didn't like what they were discussing or like what they were talking about, then these content creators run the risk of having their channel shut down for frivolous reasons that they come up with, such as misinformation and disinformation. And this is forms of torturous interference. This is criminal, as I've stated many times before. This is a violation of antitrust laws. By the way, we just need the right person with the deep pockets. I think what I was learning, you may have to take them to a certain type of court, by the way, to get true justice. Why many have failed in the past and has not, that have had lawsuits against YouTube and that have not been successful, because to my understanding, with my research, it's dealing with redemption education, I call it, or sovereignty. Appears to be there may be a special type of court or jurisdiction they have to be brought in. You have to get them. You may have to take them in equity and get them a certain way to get actual true justice. And the problem is that a lot of people in the public sector, because I know how the elites, many people don't know, the ruling class elite created a structure for like the school systems and stuff for their slaves to learn. They don't learn. I told a friend of mine this all the time. We're not, when you go to college or regular elementary school, high school, you're not being taught the real information. See, the elites, when they're growing up, they're taught by their parents. They're sent to private schools by invitation only. I was even informed some years ago that the school at one time, I'm pretty sure Bill Gates' children are older now. I don't know how they were at the time, but I heard the school that his children went to, I don't remember the name of it, so don't quote me exactly. They stated that they were exempt from Common Core curriculum at the time. I saw a report on this. You can look it up, research it. I don't remember the name. But just to show you, a lot of their children, many people don't understand, will go into the types of fields and they will make it seem like it's humanitarian efforts and things. But a lot of times it could be it's nefarious intentions behind it, because we know for a fact the elites want world depopulation, even though the Georgia Guidestones are no longer up. They were for a number of years before they were destroyed. And I don't know if they're ever going to bring them back, just like the mural at the Denver airport was removed because it was bringing, I believe, so much attention, so much awareness, that they saw that so many people are waking up. But the Georgia Guidestones, they admitted, just, this is a pretty known fact. This is not conspiracy theory. that before they were destroyed, it was written on them, and even in different languages, that they wanted to reduce the world's population down to around 500 million. So if it's about 800 billion, I mean, excuse me, 8 billion people on the planet, they wanted to bring it down to around 500 million. That's a significant portion. By the way, these people, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I went over this before in the past, but this is very important. I don't want to sound like doom and gloom. This is not fear porn. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind, and no weapon formed against us shall prosper. By the way, these people are very, very evil, and you need to understand the Illuminati is real. This is not a joke. To have an understanding, you need to research, you need to look this information up, you need to understand it. And if you're in the politics or you're a politician, you if you really are for the people, you will be against a lot of the things that they try to promote as a positive light. Is really not, as they try to make it appear. There's really nefarious intentions, like they want. I can't really go into all the details because I don't have my notes with me, but related to, so they call it like fossil fuels and things, where they want to mandate in the near future all cars to go to EV, electric vehicles, to get rid of gas running cars, stuff like that, and then they blame it on the environment. A friend of mine brought up a very amazing point recently. Such a brilliant mind that I speak with. I believe he knows I'm not just trying to, how can I say, put him on a pedestal. He stays humble, but he brought up a very good point. I talked about how a certain individual wanted to terraform a particular planet. For those that believe in that, I know some of the flat earth people don't believe in exoplanets and things, but I was telling them about a certain individual, and I won't say the name. I'll let people fill in the dots, that wants to terraform Mars. So this has been talked about. I know he's planning on a trip there, wants to send the starship there, said, or whatever. And a friend of mine says, if they have that technology to terraform another planet, he says, why are they not using that same technology to make our planet Earth better? If they're telling us that, because of our carbon emissions or the carbon dioxide we breathe, and all this other stuff that they come up with, they're saying that. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not an advocate to say you should just be polluting the planet, this, that, and the other, but it's being blown way out of proportion. If you are aware, the elites have an agenda where they want to get rid of currency altogether one day and have something called carbon credits, where they want, part of this agenda is a push for CBDCs. If you've heard of central bank digital currencies, to push us to a cashless society, but there's a process they have to bring you to prior, before they can enforce some of these things. And this is why they want to fully destroy America and take over, as they've done many other countries already. This is a worldwide plan. This is not just isolated here. Why they want to collapse borders, dissolve borders, and enforce a global CBDC cashless society, and have like a system that's ran. They use China. A reason you wonder why China is brought up as a model. I was informed by Mel K, who does good reports on Band.video, that Bill Gates and Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, you can look up who Eric Schmidt is, set up the Chinese, their computer system that ties in with their surveillance system and their social credit system, where over there they not only have a regular credit score, you have something called a social credit score, which would be based off, like, imagine if you combine cancel culture, which has already kind of happened over here with certain entertainers or famous people that they deem a threat, that go outside of the box or speak outside of the norm, they attack them. And there's a thing many people are familiar with called cancel culture. What the globalists want to weaponize it to give you an understanding against your average American. This is your everyday person. It can get far worse, and they plan on doing this. And remember, Eric Snowden came out years ago as a contractor for the National Security Agency. He was a whistleblower and admitted things, hardcore evidence, that the government, they were spying on Americans. I even saw a local news report that this was unconstitutional, this was illegal. But it's like, okay, I'm wondering, I'm scratching my head, like, if this is unconstitutional, if this is illegal, why don't we have politicians or people who are concerned that are enforcing this to get these people that are not supposed to be doing these things arrested or to stop to have face some type of consequences. So this evil world that they're trying to bring in, this totalitarian state, there's a name for it. It's tyranny or totalitarian control that 1984 talks about Orwell, the Orwellian police state, but to a very much in a very bad way. They have very nefarious intentions. So their number one plan. I heard Klaus Schwab has mentioned is to censor free speech worldwide. They also want to take over, as I kind of touched on briefly, with the World Health Organization treaty. They want to take over the whole national medical system, by the way, with this treaty and say, hey, that this treaty gives us authority or rights that trumps our laws that we already have already with OSHA and right to privacy and informed consent. They want to obliterate all that and say, hey, this is above the jurisdiction of the federal government, which that's BS. So we need people to fight against this, to reject this, and be aware. And that's all we need politicians to thoroughly understand. Because what the World Economic Forum does, why I read the part earlier when they say rebuilding trust, they know they're losing the information war. And people and even politicians are starting to understand their secret agenda as far as depopulation, what they have done to the farming industry, the agricultural industry, to create artificial scarcity, to intentionally keep things from causing our economy to grow in a natural way. It's the best way I can put it in the simplest form. By the way, and you can learn more about this type of information, what I'm going over for a better assessment, a better evaluation over at band.video. By the way, that's why they make the individual over there, they accuse him of being a conspiracy theorist, a racist, uh, so many things. He's working for the Vatican, controlled opposition. They say many of these things, white supremacists, all the whole 9 yards. And I don't believe none of that BS. It's a bunch of BS because they want to steer you away. They don't want the left hand to know what the right hand is doing and vice versa. Now, I'm not saying in some instances where someone has different opinions versus, other people, but notice the mainstream media outlets out there push that narrative that this individual is a conspiracy theorist, and they'll come up with all these different labels that this man is crazy, this, that, and other. And I'm gonna be honest, just revealing this for the first time to you guys without saying the name. I'll let you guys can pretty much figure out who I'm talking about without me even having to say the name. I've been a listener of a number of years. I have purchased a lot of his products. His supplements do actually work, by the way. It's been a while since I've done a review video. I was thinking about doing that. Maybe I should, let me know. And I've, continue to support him, but also try to spread the word. And not just myself, it is others that I know, and many other numerous people that know about him. There's people that do follow him, but don't be afraid, because the thing is, you have to understand, he's brought this up before, that when people kowtow, give in to tyranny, tyranny is one of the types of things where people think that giving in to it, or just going along with things, is going to, prolong the inevitable, make things uh, lessen the load. No, it's not. That's not going to happen. Unfortunately, we all have to fight. We're all in this fight together, and you'll understand more so down the road. Many people got a taste of it with the pandemic that took place in the past. If you just think about many of the different things, tactics they had pulled. Look, if you know about the law, if you follow Epoch Times, the law that governor of New York passed for concentration camps in the state of New York. They're going to try to reword it and call it COVID camps. So she pretty much signed a bill to legalize concentration camps in the state of New York. It's funny or interesting how we know what the Jewish community went through, because I saw it was a movie years ago. I don't know if it was Schindler's List. By the way, it was a movie about the Holocaust. I watched it with my mother. She actually explained it to me when I was a little boy. I didn't understand it and narrated. And they had tunnels and stuff to escape what they were doing over there, the horrific evil that was going on with the Nazis, with Hitler, the Germans, and I didn't understand it. But they just had in the news recently that I think the city of New York or wherever that specific part, they were in legal talks that they had discovered these underground tunnels within the synagogues there or whatever. And my history teacher used to say years ago, those who do not learn from the history can be condemned to repeat the history as well. So I just want to say we're all in this fight together. And what I'm referring to, these people paint this picture that they're the good guys. They're not the good guys. The Davos agenda, the Davos group, or also known as the World Economic Forum, headed by Klaus Schwab. Look up who Klaus Schwab is, and Yuval Noah Harari, his personal advisor. These are some of the most evil people in the world, and they're selling this to different governments and state heads around the world. But understand, this is the plan in the beginning to collapse governments of the world, to take full control, to use artificial intelligence to take over. Like they literally, if you've seen the movie Terminator, this is what we're not we're moving into the future, folks. If you understand, we're in the future now, and they're really close. They're getting close. If you look at Boston Dynamics, people laughed years ago, they say the technology they have is more advanced than what we even know about. By the way, but the World Economic Forum is pushing these things. What they'll sell to these leaders that are going to participate from around the world, but they have nefarious intentions behind this stuff. So I just want to send my warning to you all. This is their agenda, and this is my thoughts. It's a lot to unpack, by the way, but I just wanted you all to have an idea, and you can get a better better breakdown of the information if you go over to band.video or madmaxworld.tv. Go to madmaxworld.tv. Also, check out brighteon.com. Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, has a very excellent breakdown on a lot of political discussions, what they're not telling you, what the mainstream media doesn't go into details about. We have Lynn Hopper in the chat says, hello, Mr. Dorsey. Thank you for joining. We have Hadrupo Sosa Marquez says, all right now, brother Dorsey, peace and love. Appreciate you. Hadrupo Sosa says, they will hit the new generation with the social credit score because we are transitioning into a technocracy. Yes, you're correct. That's the other term that is used. They want to bring in a technocracy. By the way, if you just look up the writings of Klaus Schwab, look up who he is, and look up Yuval Noah Harari. And then there was a podcaster who interviewed Yuval Noah Harari. I'm trying to think of his name. He has a big channel, Lex Friedman. He's actually friends with Mark Zuckerberg, by the way, and he's Jewish. He interviewed Yuval Noah Harari. Yuval Noah Harari actually denied knowing about an existence of a cabal or Illuminati, even though he's part of it and part of running it himself. He's in a very top tier along with Klaus Schwab. But he went on the Lex Friedman show, a podcaster, and lied. But we know he, is part of the agenda. But I encourage you guys, don't take my word for what I'm saying. Research what I'm bringing up so you'll have the receipts. So you'll say, oh, I see what Dorsey was talking about. Oh, I see he was right. Normally, I give a disclaimer, and I always encourage you all to do your own homework and research. This is not legal advice, but this is a major warning as to I'm helping deconstruct who these people really are, and I'm directing you to get while you still have the ability, the independent media that goes over the credible, legitimate information. By the way, while we still have freedom of speech, because YouTube is currently updating their policies, by the way, to make it more difficult to get this information out to you all. Hadrupo Sosa Marquez says plausible deniability is the term used for government creating false flag simulations. Now, that's interesting. I actually was in several different groups on Telegram, and I know plausible deniability with my studies dealing with sovereignty, redemption education. And I always refer to plausible deniability dealing with the court system. I read this many years ago in documents that when judges or lawyers, when they wanted to act like they didn't know what you were talking about, they could use plausible deniability if they listen to key words and see based off those keywords, they could tell whether or not you were still operating on the public side, whether you were still you will still basically, there's ways they can tell through the language that we use, by the way. As I went over kind of in the past, there's certain words that can put you in their jurisdiction or give acquiescence over. And I have looked up plausible deniability, but I haven't used it or looked at it in terms of the government adopting it. But I can see that's an example that they could use. They use that as an excuse, but definitely it's truth to what you're saying. I'm gonna read your comment again. It says plausible deniability is the term used for government creating false flag simulations, and it's also used in the legal system. I would add to what you're saying, by the way, once again, by judges or lawyers who are able to evaluate or make an assessment after hearing your complaint or the type of verbiage that you use, by the way. And I had a situation years ago, I won't go into the details, where the lawyer I asked at the time was dealing with the way a particular garnishment. And I said, well, in the state of Michigan, wage garnishments are illegal. And I do know the law pursuant to or in reference to Michigan compiled law 600.6231. I didn't know the specific code statute at the time because the federal law, well, this group was trying to trick my employer and the consumer, so-called consumer. If you know about debt collectors, I won't go into all the details, to say you have to go by the federal law to make the federal law seem like it trumps state law. But the federal statute, when I looked it up, actually said in the statute, it was two different federal statutes in the United States codes, stated you had to go by the state statute, whatever the state statute said. And specifically, now you have to check, it may be different for different states, but for here in Michigan, it said it had to be signed off by a judge or it was void. Because my friend of mine was telling me back then that anybody would just be able to say, hey, you owe the money, by the way, just pay up. So I actually found a specific statute, and that was in Michigan compiled laws. That's an acronym for MCL, is an acronym for Michigan compiled laws, MCL 600.6231. And when you read the verbiage in there, basically to sum up, has to be signed, writs or orders, levies, has to be signed off by a judge. If not, and then I also found out many years ago, there was only one law firm that was legally licensed to collect debt. It's another thing because most people don't understand how the law works and things. If you never gone to war against these corporations or stood up against them, because many of them are a bunch of bullies, but people don't understand just the way that we've been indoctrinated. We've been taught, once again, we're not learning the real information when we go to elementary school, middle school, high school, college. They're only teaching us the information they want us to know to be a good slave to work for their corporations, by the way. Edgar Rios says, what's up, Dorsey? Appreciate you joining. Thank you. Thank you all for joining. Hadrupo says, such as creating fear to our livelihood when it comes to agriculture, water supply, energy crisis. Yes, they are manufacturing many of these things, by the way, because I hear that the individual over at Band.video, whose name I'm not saying, I'll let you guys figure out, but I want you all to go over there, subscribe to him. If you haven't done so already, it will behoove you to. He has a video. It's fairly recent. It's from January 11th. It's got over 21,000 views, by the way, comments. It says the World Economic Forum deems free speech the greatest risk to their global agenda. And I've known this for a while. And he's reading from a document that he found. I have to sometimes to show that Band.video or MadMaxWorld.tv is putting out accurate information. What I'll do, guys, just to let you know, is I'll look up the documents that he's showing to look up the validity, because a lot of times people say, well, what evidence or what proof do you have, by the way? And what I like when I watch the video side of his show, because he is, I think, has a radio syndication where some people may not be able to get access to the video side. That's why I specifically go to his web hosting platform to see the videos where he shows the actual documents that he may be reading from, or he'll have his staff shoot the camera over, just like the professional news anchors do from the mainstream media. He has that professional critique, by the way. So this document he was reading from states the number one thing on their list. They had 8 things I saw so far was misinformation and disinformation was their first thing. Their second problem or threat they have, it said extreme weather events. The third thing was societal polarization. He mentions They're the architects behind that. Even extreme weather events, when you look at, if you know about HARP, Higher Rural Active Research Project, or if you know about DARPA, how they can steer hurricanes and stuff like that. I had met a gentleman years ago that was in the Air Force, told me about scalar technology, by the way, and I looked it up. And I actually happened to was watching the Weather Channel some years ago. I was telling a friend of mine recently, and I saw an Air Force plane had the DARPA logo on there. It was during the time of a hurricane, and it was actually because I had already read years ago that they can fly above hurricanes and they can actually steer the direction of the hurricanes. Yes, they had that technology. And I actually happened to see the receipt. So I told a friend of mine, I was stunned when I was watching the Weather Channel. This is a true story some years ago. And this particular US Air Force plane had the DARPA logo. Was they were showing the pilot, they were going over what it was. And I just happened to, have it on or whatever at the time. And I don't even really watch TV. So it was just the right time, and I was at the right place, the right time to catch this. And I said, whoa. So this stuff I looked up with this guy I met years ago named Harvey, way back. He used to work for a store called Mr. Allen's, which is now called Snipes. By the way, when I used to catch the bus many years ago, well over a decade ago. And he told me to look up this information about scalar technology. And I researched it at the time. It was other than just HARP, by the way. So this other thing they deemed this fourth greatest risk to their global agenda was cybersecurity. And they actually create this as the individual was going over the document, was explaining how the government has behind actually a lot of the so-called hacking and stuff that goes on. If you know who has the money to think about it, guys, to spend time doing all this with all these data breaches and stuff, that somebody, if you use common sense, will have to have a whole lot of time, a whole lot of resources, and have to have a whole lot of money, and you have to be skilled. So that tells you kind of, you read between the lines, who's behind that. So, false flag. Their fifth thing was interstate armed conflict. That's obvious, speaks for itself. They're behind that, economic inequality things. They know how to exploit that. They did that with the George Floyd riots. They pretended to be on the side, the black people's friends. They don't care about black people at all. These people are eugenicists. If you know about Margaret Sanger, they're into eugenics, by the way, but they are very good at public relations. They're masterminds behind this because they control and run the media, and they have their lapdogs, their puppets behind the scenes, like Justin Trudeau in Canada, Obama when he was in office, obviously Hillary Biden. A lot of these people are their lapdogs, their puppets. Emmanuel Macron, Angela Merkel. The list goes on, like some of the names I read earlier. By the way, these are their lapdogs, their puppets. By the way, lack of economic opportunity, that speaks for itself. This is their sixth thing that's on this list that he read from. By the way, you can go there and check it out. It's on band.video. You just have to scroll down and find the video specifically. It's from not that long ago, January 11th. So don't take my word for it. And this was a really short video, like 5-6 minutes. This was a shorter one. He did. What I like about his staff, his editing team, you don't feel like, because I know he puts out a lot of content, and it's even hard for myself to keep up with, like, over 2 hours worth of videos. And trust me, guys, I probably need to watch more as I related information over to a good friend of mine. He gets his information, and it's kind of related from other people, by the way, and I'll just kind of leave it at that, where some things are related, they intersect and intertwine with one another. But this document he was reading from, they mentioned these 8 particular things on this list are their top threats to their global agenda. But he was explaining they create a lot of these things, as I mentioned. They create the scarcity, they create artificial scarcity. Inflation was number 7, and 8th was involuntary migration, as they call it, refer to it as. They're actually behind it. They want to dissolve the borders on purpose. Just like it's their definite agenda to enforce a global central bank digital currency, by the way, as well as they want to take over, which they've already kind of done this in a way when Obama passed the so-called Affordable Care Act that some refer to as Obamacare. A friend of mine that was very well studied political science, told me they had passed a universal health system in Canada, and he was telling me how it was or whatnot, and what they've done, and look at how they force people, and what has happened to people that were forced to take that jab. By the way, just looking at the results, the aftermath. Hadrupo Sosa Marquez says there's a patent number on the chemical used in those planes that make the chemtrails. I believe the military owns it. I wouldn't be surprised. I may have come across that information some years ago. That's something I've known about for a very long time, by the way. But he does, if you go over to band.video, madmaxworld.tv, he reports on those things, by the way. Let me put that in the chat, by the way, madmaxworld.tv. Let me see if I put that in there. Right. Okay, this is this is the other site you can check out. Make sure you go there. And then this is the original. It may come up because he's had to get different URLs because his sites have come under attack. But this is the original site. Go to band.video, go to madmaxworld.tv. He's partnered with multiple other media organizations. By the way, I was explaining to a friend of mine, he's already past phase 1 and phase 2. As a friend of mine was trying to assist me coming up with the structure dealing with redemption, sovereign education. By the way, was telling me I need to master phase A and phase B. He has real excellent organizational skills, and different people have different talents in different areas. And I was relaying to him that this individual over here has already gone to these levels. His skill set is it's unprecedented. He's elevated throughout the years as I've been a listener, a long time listener. By the way, his skill set is immaculate. He's on a whole nother level, and he's already partnered with other multiple media organizations. So continue to get the word out, spread the word. By the way, it is to our detriment as we are all in this together. Hadrupo Sosa Marquez says, thanks for the info. Oh, you're welcome, brother. No problem. So like I said, I really didn't want to be before you guys that long, but just know you can look up the Davos agenda, the meeting that's coming up. That's why I titled this video, their agenda, ? This is what I was referring to. My thoughts. It is a lot to unpack. What I had also planned on letting you guys know, too, I had taken a break for a while. I've been doing a lot of independent research. I had someone in a Telegram room or group that I was part of. I appreciate them for inviting me to the group, and it looks like they were upset that I had not responded to their messages. So in case they see this video, let me clarify. It's not intentional on purpose, but I have my notifications on my cell phone for Telegram turned off. Many of the apps, by the way, I have turned off. I don't like for example, when I had Facebook Messenger for my personal account and I was getting messages like nonstop. And what I was smart enough to do, one friend of mine was shared with me how you can go into the settings and just do something to deactivate it. What I did is I had another account and I just switched it over. I had an account that was basically version or dormant that wasn't used at all. But recently, very much today, I just deactivated it again. But that's for my personal. But when I repost my videos, sometimes I do have the Dorsey's resource page over there. But I'm also on Truth Social. I'm also on minds.com, and I'm also on X platform, formerly Twitter, over there. Whenever, generally speaking, if I do decide to put out my latest video, sometimes I don't share them right away anymore. This channel, by the way, I still have a bigger following over here. That's why I'm still doing videos from time to time. But if you guys haven't, make sure you go over to my backup channel, which is at Dorsey's Resource 873, and be sure to subscribe so you'll get updates over there. I do plan on having content for you guys down the road, but just bear with me. But I was explaining to this individual, it's not done on purpose, but I don't. When I logged back into Telegram, he thought I was just ignoring his messages. I didn't know or didn't get notifications when somebody had messaged me or inbox me because I have the notifications turned off, and I do those things for specific reasons. And all this time throughout these years, as I've had this channel, guys, I still work a full time job. As you all know, my job lately, I'm a supervisor. Just to give you guys a heads up, I've been transparent with you all to a degree. I have not had a consistent schedule in weeks, by the way. I work a lot of security jobs. They work you around the holidays quite a bit. And my schedule has literally changed quite a bit from week to week. And I had got a new supervisor sometime last year. As the other one either quit or got fired. I honestly don't know exactly what happened. And the new person that they hired, I told a friend of mine, was calling me like crazy, whereas the previous supervisor, we had an understanding. He knew that I knew what my job was. He wasn't bugging me every day, calling me. So that's been a headache. That can be stressful. So I've been working full time. At the same time, it's been a headache, and I've been trying to study this redemption education to try to find a way to get out of this. But I'm also plan on, I'm at the point now, I'm still looking for other work. I'm ready at a point, I can do something different, by the way, and I'm looking to go somewhere else if my other thing doesn't not come through in the meantime. By the way, as I'm still punching the clock, which I shouldn't have, because I was close years ago when I attended that event to truly crossing over to the other side where I was going to have access to an immense amount of wealth. By the way, that you can't even imagine, that most people would not even believe. But I'll probably have to say that privately. I've shared some of the things before. Some people don't believe it, but to each his own. But I did have a conversation, and some people, they felt bad for what I had to go through. And I appreciate your thoughts and concerns and having compassion, because I've gotten many comments from people that say, "Hey, Dorsey, you need to get over that. That's the past." Or, "I know you had a bad experience, but it's time to move on, bro." That's something that, if you were in my shoes, would be very difficult if you understood the magnitude. But I did learn from it, at least. I learned a lot of valuable information that, gave me discipline and toughened me up, by the way, and opened my eyes to things that I wouldn't have never even imagined in my wildest dreams, literally, by the way. But had that happen for me, which I was very, very close. And I won't go into all the details about that, to crossing over. And that's why I just decided some years ago, as I mentioned to you guys, to kind of become like a whistleblower, and blow the whistle, because they were still holding my paperwork. There was promises that was made, and I never received that information. I still don't know where it's at, or who, what's going on, or who was telling the truth. And it looks like he turned it over to a certain individual to make his hands clean, so he doesn't have to be responsible for it. Then I was told I was kicked out. That anybody who did YouTube videos from one of my private sources, and I have other sources out there, or whatever. And it was just, it is for what it is. So that's something I'm gonna never forget. I have, moved on, and but I just wanted to be transparent with you all. If you are wondering why I haven't done videos in a while, or when I come sporadically, but I would like to get the momentum back to put out consistent content. But I have been doing research, and to some of my members over on Telegram, I appreciate the positive feedback and positive messages I've gotten. But I want to let those know I haven't been ignoring you. What it is with my phone, when I log in on Telegram, I literally log in. I mainly use the app through my desktop when I'm not. I haven't been on there in a while since I've been working the schedule, so I don't know sometimes when I get inboxes or messages, because I have the app turned off through the settings section on my phone. And I've done that intentionally because I don't like a lot of different apps bugging me with different updates between, all the different messaging, social media out there, different messaging services, etc. So I'm able to decompress, and I try to loosen my mind away from all the stress in the world. I even had to explain to a friend of mine who's known me for years. I told him I don't even sleep with my cell phone, or when I take naps. My cell phone is in my living room. I don't even have it in my bed. I never, generally speaking, about 90% of my daily life, I don't keep my cell phone in my bedroom, by the way. So when it rings, I can turn the ringer down. Well, sometimes I do turn it all the way down. Like recently when I did the video, I have it set But some people think, that I'm just ignoring you, and that's not the case. But I want to give you all a thorough understanding, since I'm being transparent with you all. By the way, as to what, for those, I know there's people over there that do follow me or have followed me in the past. But there's been a lot of amazing groups over there that's done some amazing work. I do appreciate when I go over there. I do get a lot of good information from time to time. So just to give you all a heads up, I've been studying behind the scenes once again before I shut the video down. What else? One of the things I did do to fight back YouTube, I always forget to mention this to you guys. I mentioned this one time before. I disable all of the ads, because I mostly watch majority of my YouTube videos. I watch on my desktop, my PC, when I'm basically at home. And what I was able to do across majority of all my web browsers, since this channel was completely demonetized. By the way, it's literally like chump change. I only get, and it will take months before I'm able to get the payment threshold, because of whatever happened. They never sent an official message while they took my other channel down, my backup channel, which affected this channel. So what I did was to fight back, and I got this idea from a friend of mine, and I had no idea at the time. I thought he was literally, was making this up. I did not know you could disable the ads that play, even the ones that are automatic. And I may even try this out on my phone. I'm gonna have to play around with my phone. I might have to use a web browser. But to fight back, because you can boycotts do work. Uh, by the way, is I disable all of the ads. I'd use an ad blocker extension across all my web browsers. By the way, now there was some pushback over that, but I had to do that to fight back, instead of saying, YouTube, you're going to do that to me. And I am considered a minority according to those who push the grievance industry and the victimhood thing. If you get the drift, get what I mean. I can play both sides of the fence, and they're going to just do that to me, and as you've done to a lot of other YouTubers, and specifically black YouTubers, and not just black YouTubers in that space, but other YouTubers. It's just, so to me, it's so mean. It's very cruel. They mess with people's livelihood. And I remember I talked to hardworking people in the past that even told me about they would have issues with coworkers or people that worked in sales that mess with their money, by the way. And then we're now in the future, and this bully company, Alphabet, that owns YouTube, or is Google's parent company. They're such a big bully, by the way. So that's what I did to let you guys know. One of the things I did to fight back. And I'm gonna encourage you guys as well, because of these new policies that are coming out. It's going to be more important than ever to go over to other platforms, and one in particular, head over to Rumble. By the way, to combat what they're doing with freedom of speech. Rumble is an excellent platform. It's an excellent video web hosting platform that supports freedom of speech. I'm just using YouTube because I can still reach a lot of people. It took me time to build my original subscriber base over here. But if you haven't done so yet, it has grown exponentially. A lot of the people that you might find that have been censored over here have been kicked off YouTube or have been banned. They're over on Rumble now. So go over there, check them out. And there's other platforms, just in case something was to happen to Rumble. You have other platforms as well. You have Gab.ai, Gab TV. You have Brighteon.com, Brighteon TV. You have True Social. You've got other alternatives out there, Minds.com. You got Odyssey Library. I'm just trying to think of offhand to combat what these big tech bullies are doing, by the way, in violation of freedom of speech, the antitrust laws, and this forms of torturous interference that they have been engaging in, by the way. So that's one of the things I did. So one of the things you can do to fight back. So I'll read this last comment, and I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to take off. Hadrupo Sosa says, don't feel bad about getting retribution for that Treasury situation in DC. By the way, Says don't feel bad. I'm not sure what's the if you can explain what's the retribution for the treasury situation. What are you referring to? I'm not familiar with that. You said don't feel bad about getting retribution for that treasury situation. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by that, unless you were mean when I was mentioning how they demonetized my channel, and that's what I did to fight back. So let me know if you're still there, Hadrupo. What do you mean by that? This last comment, give me a better understanding. I'm not sure what you're meaning for the Treasury situation in DC. It says, okay, he says them cats about the black card. Oh, okay. Okay, I kind of see what you're saying. By the way, yeah. Well, I've done a lot of videos. I've said a mouthful about that, and I have a video on my Rumble account. By the way, it may not be in the description box of this video, but if you check my previous videos, I have where to find me on Rumble. I have to, like I said, get more videos over there. Just upload, transfer my videos from over here or my other channel and just put them over on Rumble. That's all I got to do. Then I have a lot of stuff that I have archived, by the way. And by the way, YouTube has, even on this channel, with the restrictions, they did remove some other videos that I got notifications from. But I can't, like I said, with this channel that I'm currently speaking to you all on right now, I can't log into my back office. So I don't have access to the back office anymore. And this is the channel that has been demonetized. So that's why I did what I did to fight back and expose what I've done. So that's what I know. Other people, other big names over there that are more consistent, that put out consistent content. I wanted to give a heads up, and you guys can also give a warning to those people. And it has helped tremendously. I was able to get the word out earlier on. If you look at my feature video over here, I was able to warn other big name content creators and people, if you have a large following, to get on those other platforms. It says an old story you gave us. Okay, yeah, definitely. Says, I think your cousin had invited you to a seminar in DC. Yes, you familiar with it. I forgot. I think you did say we met, even though it's been a long time. I don't really remember you, by the way, but I did remember you did reach out to me. So I appreciate that. Big shout out. And there was a couple other people and one person that I'm in touch with in particular that's in the Virginia area that actually knew someone. I didn't know she was an attendee at first. And she actually knew the attendee who died, who passed away, by the way, that I had met some years ago, back actually specifically in '09. So knew her as Sister Shanania, but Darlene Randolph, rest in peace too, by the way. But this other sister that I'm in contact with that knew her, I would just say, I won't say her name. She did reach out to me and express her concern and things. And I already knew this, and there was many other people that have left. And that's why one of the reasons I decided not to go back to that, deal with that nightmare fraud again. And some people say, oh, you're trying to be negative, or we're not going to be negative. But they come up with so many different excuses and reasons that I just stopped buying the BS. And they claim to be a Christian organization, claim to want to do humanitarian projects, but I don't buy any of the BS anymore. With that, I'm actually it polarized me to a great degree, and I don't look up to a lot of people, especially as this information has come out recently with Puff Daddy, Bishop T.D. Jakes, a lot of this controversy with the comedian Kevin Hart, Oprah Winfrey with Taraji P. Henson, and said I already knew what the comedian Monique said years ago. Monique from Queens of Comedy, what she said about Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, and Oprah Winfrey. And Oprah, I said in the previous video, I actually found out some other people beat me to the punch. They already got major dirt on Oprah, if you don't believe how, because some people were trying to say she wasn't connected to Epstein. Now, I'll say this. I didn't see her name on the list. Now, Reddit had her name listed from before the story broke, that broke recently about that list. But I did discover another channel that had reported on. There was a British actor that had named Oprah and Naomi Campbell. Now, Naomi Campbell, model Naomi Campbell, was named in those names that were unsealed by the judge that was released publicly. By the way, this British actor or model, I can't remember the name. You can look up the article. Some lady I found out ran a story of some YouTube channel. You have to just do your research, type in expose or Oprah or whatever. And I was like, wow, they did a very impressive job. And they found the same article that I found because I didn't forget why did the music artist Seal, that was a 4-time Grammy Award winner, what he mentioned years ago, he immediately was accused of rape charges after he said what he said about Oprah. I didn't find that to be a coincidence when he said you were part of it when that information, remember Harvey Weinstein's story broke. And he was tied heavily to Jeffrey Epstein. They said around '05, '06. And Oprah was known for being very good friends with Harvey Weinstein. And you remember at one of the award shows when her friend, the actor Meryl Streep, had even gave a shout out to Harvey Weinstein as a friend of mine. Some other people pointed out, some people replayed that clip of the actor Meryl Streep, but all of a sudden they tried to make it solely about women. I told a friend of mine that was to take away from the secret stuff that they've been doing, trafficking children, with Mel Gibson's movie Sound of Freedom was exposing. Oprah has been at the top of major scandals. She had a scandal at that school years ago and that she built in Africa, by the way. And there's these stories, they go way more in depth. This is not separate from the Taraji P. Henson incident and the Monique incident, separate. They've got major dirt. So I don't put faith. I don't trust a lot of these people. I was really shocked to hear about Bishop Jakes not too long ago. And I asked a relative, I said, I never knew Bishop Jakes was hanging with P. Diddy. That blew me away. That the fact that he came off years ago as a man of authoritative power, that he would correct people, that he wouldn't he was the type that would not give in. And man, I said, wow, that really blew me away to find that out. Some other things I heard about, allegedly. But they got the goods. I was going to just let you guys know that Marab Morali's channel was wrong about that. I'll say he does good work. I like a lot of his videos, as long as with Tisa Tells. And I haven't met Tough News. I like the reports they do put out. But I'm gonna say Marab Morali is wrong. There's a lot of videos I found on YouTube that actually some other content creators with bigger followings than I do that have major goods on Oprah. By the way, that she's not this adorable angel, just like Hillary Clinton. Very damning information. If I want to go in, maybe I could down the road, but it's out there, by the way. So you can look up the article. There's a model. She accused Oprah Winfrey and the actress Naomi Campbell being used by Weinstein to try to force her to sleep with Weinstein as like a bait and switch, as they say. She was procuring women for Weinstein. And I find that to be truth, as Naomi Campbell's name was mentioned. And this is what you can look up, this British actor said. And I have another source. I have a plug. The way Tough News tells, I have a legitimate plug that's rides rideshare, and told me he had a passenger who mentions this ring that Oprah Winfrey was wearing or wears from time to time contains blood that's adrenochrome of children that have been at these rituals that have been murdered. By the way, and David Icke talked about this in his book that I read years ago called Children of the Matrix, allegedly. If you know about the adrenochrome, by the way, and that according to sources out there, that Oprah runs sex trafficking rings, and there's even a connection with the Clintons, by the way, and not just Bill, but Hillary. There was a lady that was connected to Hillary that was trafficking children in Haiti. And I have another source, someone I knew personally, I haven't been in touch with in a while. She's a travel nurse, and she told me about her grandmother in Haiti who saw children being trafficked. She's second generation Haitian, by the way, and she told me that story. So Oprah is heavily, if you guys don't know that, I was like, whoa, this was deep, real deep, because a friend of mine was like, oh, you can't expose Oprah. Her image is so squeaky clean, this, that, and other. It's like, no, it's not. Just look up. There's videos. Make sure you download them and archive them. But these particular videos, I think one of them was censored. This one lady, she did a very good narration, and I couldn't find the original video because I knew YouTube, they removed it because they want you to see Oprah in this positive light that she's this guardian angel and everybody's mother and this, that, and other. No, and you guys should don't take my word for what I'm saying, but look up Allie Carter, the story of the sex traffic victim on Rumble. Stu Peters did an interview with Allie Carter. She's a black girl believed to be, now this is just in my personal opinion, allegedly from the research that I did, that she allegedly may be Tupac Shakur's illegitimate daughter. Don't quote me exactly. Allegedly, her name was Tori Outlaw, was her government name, and her adoptive mother. They're on the run currently. Her adoptive mother has been protecting her, but she was prostituted out as a teenager in the LA area, and she said she was brought to police chiefs and stuff like that. She tells a very horrific stories, but awareness needs to be spread. And she did an interview on the Stu Peters show. She also did other independent interviews as well, and it would behoove you to archive those, download those. Many of those I don't think are, I haven't looked them up on YouTube, but they're on Rumble. But you want to type in Allie Carter, by the way. Yes, yes, Allie Carter. You heard of her. Excellent. I know I skipped over. I'm gonna get back to some of the other comments. Yes, you want to look up Allie Carter, and she tells a very insightful story. I'll just put it at, leave it at. But those out there can make their own assessment, make their own evaluation and judgment. But as I was saying previously, that's the connection. If you were wondering, with if Oprah, I can't say that she did meet Epstein, or there's if there's any photos, but Reddit had her name in the list. So I don't know, because some people they said were just throwing names out there, but the connection would be Oprah was heavily connected to Harvey Weinstein. We know this for sure, for a fact. And some say she didn't even detach herself when she was pushing this Time's Up and Me Too movement, that she never definitively, she was playing straddling the fence, that she didn't definitively denounce Harvey Weinstein or rebuke him immediately or all throughout that fiasco, because it's alleged, and there's been other channels that have reported on this, that she was procuring women. And there's an article about a British model that accuses Oprah and Naomi Campbell of being used by Harvey Weinstein to lure her in to have sex, to get different roles and stuff like that, dealing with the director's couch, etc. So that's the dirt that is definitely not just dealing with Taraji P. Henson, what they stated, what Monique said years ago, but on a separate note. And then there's information that Band.video has. There's actually a video I found from some years ago when that stuff about Harvey Weinstein was really big. Celia Gonzalez says, "Thank you, Dorsey, for all the info you give us." Oh, you're welcome, Celia. Appreciate you for joining. Hadrupo says, "Oh yeah, I heard about Oprah and her school in Africa." Yes. Mary Saunders says, "Hello, everyone. Greetings to you, Mary. Thank you for joining." Well, I did say I'm going to get ready to shut things down. I know I can get on fire sometimes with the information. I appreciate you guys that do still continue to rock with me. Make sure, if you haven't done so yet, head over to the new channel at Dorsey's Resource 873. Just be on standby over there. So whenever I put out new content down the road, you will be updated. But I made for the near future YouTube, just to give you all a heads up, they're updating their policies. Again, by the way, word I got, there's a channel a friend of mine put me up on, and the guy gave a very thorough explanation. I would have to come back before you guys because I don't have the specific notes with me, but they were saying something to the effect they're trying to make it harder to clamp down on free speech. YouTube doesn't want you to talk about events dealing with they said newsworthy events or something like that, or stuff dealing with the pandemic or even future events. They put it in this type of wording to show you how ridiculous things are getting as they continue to clamp down and try to put the foot down on shutting people up. And that's why there's power in numbers, guys. Don't let them stop you from talking, stop you from being whistleblowers. Continue to get the word out, warn, teach your children, equip them with the skill sets that they need to fight against the New World Order, the one world government, for what they are trying to do. They will not win. We will defeat them. And they are not invincible, by the way. So until next time, may the force be with you guys. Thank you all for joining. I'm out. Peace.